Hey everybody, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for some more time in God's Word. Today our call out goes to Paul Leininger of Men of Iron in Pennsylvania. Paul, thank you so much for mentoring other men. Also, thank you so much for using our resources to do that. We appreciate you, and we can't do this without you. So big gratitude to Paul and Men of Iron today. I'm going to be reading from Nehemiah chapter 5, the first 5 verses. It's going to play out a new situation that creates a complex problem for Nehemiah. Here's what it states. It says, "Now there arose a great outcry of the people and their wives against their Jewish brothers." In other words, this problem became so pronounced that now the wives are speaking out. Thank God for them at times, right? "For there were those who said, 'With our sons and our daughters, we are many. So let us get grain that we may eat and keep alive.'" There was a famine that swept across the land right about this time. Of course there would be, right? What else could go wrong? "There were also those who said, 'We are mortgaging our fields and our vineyards and our houses to get grain because of the famine.' And there were those who said, 'We have borrowed money for the king's tax on our field and our vineyards. Now our flesh,'" meaning their own race and religion, "'our flesh is as the flesh of our brothers. Our children are as their children,'" referencing back in time to Egyptian slavery. "'As the flesh of our brothers, our children as are their children. Yet we are forcing our sons and our daughters to be slaves. And some of our daughters have already been enslaved, but it's not in our power to help it, for other men have our fields and our vineyards." Now, chapter 5 is just simply evidence of the complex nature of getting massive projects done. Right in the middle of the project, a famine sweeps across the land. This creates a compounded challenge for Nehemiah. A shortage of food combined with heavy national taxation that led people to mortgage their property at a whopping 60 to 75% mortgage interest, by the way, and then sell their children into slavery to pay off those debts. But this was especially directed at the Jewish population. You have to remember that, especially at Jews. It was so oppressive that eventually families were indebted to a few Jewish elites who in surrounding communities were the only ones who had any money. And this became such a problem that it could not be ignored. And it infuriates, as you're going to see in Nehemiah. You know, it's Murphy's Law, right? Anything that's going to go wrong will eventually go wrong. But in this situation, this is not Murphy's Law at work. It's the enemy's law. It's always at work against those doing God's work. The enemy will always work to frustrate the plans of the Lord. That's his job. The last thing he wants is God to be glorified in any situation. So he's going to attack from without and even from within to dishearten believers and dishearten and avert attention from the mission. But we've got to be prepared for it. So today, as you awake to do the work of the Lord, because that's what you're doing if you're a believer, you're doing the work of the Lord, not your work, you're doing his work. Take even a few minutes to assess where the enemy is working against you and God's plan for you in your life. Take note of the attack, whether it be from within your ranks or from without your ranks. See the battle for what it is. It is the cosmic forces of evil working against the goodwill of God. And then make sure and respond appropriately. Then come back here tomorrow and we'll see how Nehemiah responds. I love you guys. Thanks so much for joining me. If this has blessed you, share it with someone